I'm the psychologist who evaluated Ted Bundy, and had him put in prison. AMA Bio. I'm Dr. Al Carlisle, and I evaluated Ted Bundy after his initial arrest. Bundy later escaped from prison and called me from a payphone to brag, which I have taped on an audio recording. I have conducted extensive research on serial killers and interviewed Ted Bundy, the hi-fi killers, Arthur Gary Bishop, Wesley Allen Dodd, Keith Jesperson, and many others. I retired as the head of the psychology department at Utah State Prison, and am now an author and public speaker. What would you say to someone who knows they have a mental illness but is afraid of being diagnosed? I feel sad for them because they may go through much of their lifetime running from their fear of the illness. It's better to take a clear look at it and make a decision as to how they will keep the mental illness from keeping them from enjoying life. Ted Bundy had a reputation for being charming despite what he did. Did you find that to be the case? Yes, he was charming, but to a large degree it was political. He was intelligent, he had a nice smile, and he was articulate. He could talk easily with people. When I first met him for the evaluation, he walked towards me and said, "Hi, I'm Ted Bundy. You must be Dr. Carlisle." His hand was extended towards me, he had a smile on his face, and he walked rapidly as if he was happy to see me. Is there any one thing that all serial killers have in common? Also, with a hindsight view, is there anything that friends or family of a serial killer could have done to stop them? Most of the parents of these guys didn't know that anything was wrong. If a child feels he is succeeding in relationships, accomplishments, etc., and feels love in the home, there is less of a chance that he will become a serial killer. Do you have any thoughts about how to deal with budding psychopaths when they're children? Is there a way to take a baby who is distant and unattached, or even a toddler who has begun abusing the family cat, and make them feel empathy? Or at least get them to fake it for society's sake? Good question. I think there are several things we can do. First, show an interest in them and in their attempt to learn. Don't criticize too hard and not show love. Listen when they talk. Too many youth won't talk to their children because the parents give advice without listening. There are many things we can do. Regarding a family cat, for example, is the child abusing the cat as displaced aggression towards someone in the family, or in school, who is causing anger and bitterness? When my dad was getting his education as a psychologist, the predominant notion in abnormal psychology was that criminal aberration was almost all caused by environment, especially during childhood development, and little of it was inherited. A friend who's a psychologist at a local prison recently told me he thought it was about 60% inherited and 40% environmental. What do you think? I don't know. I worked 20 years in a prison and largely worked with violent offenders. I could see strong indications that the problem started in their childhood, environmental, and I could see a logical connection between those childhood experiences and later pathology. There are some cases where a child has been violent beyond what was seen in their environment, but a lot more good research need to be done to resolve this issue. Are there any particular clients where their behavior or stories have shaken you? If so, do you mind telling us who and what they did/say? You get used to what you hear. Arthur Gary Bishop told me the details about each boy he killed. I wasn't shaken by it because the guys in prison I worked with were like subjects in a laboratory. I didn't enjoy hearing the details about Hart's homicides, but I wanted to know what led up to the killing. How did he feel during the act and how it changed his thinking and his personality and why he continued killing. Have you ever felt sympathy toward a killer? Or after hearing their story, did you ever think, maybe you could understand how they turned out the way they did? I could usually see why they turned out the way they did. The purpose of my book I'm Not Guilty was to show how Ted became a serial killer. It's a psychological analysis of the development of the violent mind. There were many guys I worked with in prison that I liked. I often felt bad for what they did, but I didn't feel that they should not have been held responsible for what they did. Did you get the impression the serial killers actively enjoyed inflicting suffering on others, or were they indifferent to the feelings of others? It varies from killer to killer. Arthur Gary Bishop was executed for molesting and killing 5 children. He felt very bad about his crimes and he virtually set himself up to get caught. Wesley Allen Dodd, on the other hand, killed 2 boys as an experiment to see if he could actually do it. It was his plan to have sex slaves and keep some and kill the others. How do you deal with all of the terrible stories you are told by each violent offender? Does it get to you? Clearly you're a very supportive partner. I'm so happy to hear about her feeling safe to share this with you. That's truly so special. As a gay man myself, I love seeing a post like this. You two are so special. Sending a lot of love to the both of you. Stay safe during quarantine. Did you ever feel sad for a convicted killer? Or realize that they couldn't help themselves? Much like Freddie slaying them, I felt sad for a lot of convicted killers. There was one guy, for example, who was attending the bar in a nightclub. He got into an argument with a customer. The customer came up over the bar to beat him up and this kid grabbed a knife that was on the counter and held it up at the guy and it went through his heart and killed him. He came to prison on homicide. Was Bundy the most frightening evaluation you've done? No. I enjoyed evaluating Bundy. I loved my work as a psychologist at the prison and there were no inmates who were threatening to me. One guy did hint that when he got angry at someone, he wouldn't kill him, he would harm his children. I still wrote a very negative report on him. I enjoyed interviewing all the serial killers I worked with. Do these serial killers come off as pure evil when you sit down with them and talk for a while? I'm just wondering if there was any hope of rehabilitating them at any point in their adult lives before they started murdering people. If I picked 3 killers and had them come and talk to a group of college students, the students wouldn't see anything evil in them. They don't come across as monsters. It's not that they can totally fake it and seem to be good when they are not. It's more that each of us had a persona and a shadow, a good and a bad side to us. I once asked a group in a seminar I was conducting if good and evil can coexist within the same person. Most said it's impossible. I think we need to consider that people can have good and evil thought and action potential within them and they choose which one to develop. Thank you for watching the video. If you're new, please be sure to subscribe, like and turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload. Post your own stories in the comments down below.